All right, hello everybody, and welcome to New Earth Teachings Classroom number 6. And so again, we are going to look into a couple topics today, and then we're going to have Q&A. Elizabeth just has a question here. If we attend your 2-day class at the Expo this weekend, do we then qualify for the Spirit Ambassador certificate? Yes, you do. Yes, because that's basically, I'm doing about 4 or 5 hours worth of class time there, and that is also an initiate certificate altogether, because that is kind of a special event. So yes, you will certainly have a certification. That's why it's called a Certified Spirit Ambassador Classroom. So certificates will be there for those who attend. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, September 6th to September 8th. Paolo, can you please mute your microphone? Thank you. From September 6th to September 8th, there will be the Expo taking place in Philadelphia, or Oaks, Pennsylvania. It's called the Empowered Light Expo. So on the Saturday and Sunday, I'll be teaching a class there, the Spirit Ambassador Classroom. And so anybody who wants to attend is welcome to attend there. And on Friday, I will be doing an evening event with Adronis as well too. So Elizabeth, yes, if you want to tune into that, if you want to come to the class, absolutely. It will be Spirit Ambassador certification, okay? All right, guys. So like I said, we are going to get into questions here very, very shortly. I just wanted to go over a topic today. And what that topic represents is the formula to empowerment. Now, this is actually going to become a YouTube video here in the next little while as well, too. But I wanted you guys to get a shot at this firsthand, an idea of this firsthand to what it entails. So when we're looking into the idea of the formula of empowerment, this is where we are going past the ability of living a very, I guess you could say, survival-based life, right? We are coming out of survival. We are crawling out of the shell. We're getting out of the dense nature pertaining to life, where we feel that everything is survival-based. And now we're coming into the living life, as I call it. So when we're looking into the formula of empowerment, it's no more different than if you were to work to become an artist, if you were to work to become a carpenter, if you had some type of trade, some type of skill set that you really are passionate in applying into your life. Well, guess what, guys? This is the exact same thing with everything that we are doing here, right? So when you're here in the New Earth Teachings classroom, and when you're here in the Spirit Ambassador classroom, I want to make sure you guys are taking this 100% seriously. If this is not for you, it'd be best for you to leave, right? And I'm sharing that with you guys because I really want to have committed students. I want to make sure people are here to really commit themselves to saying, Brad, I'm going to be empowered. I am going to connect with spirit. I am going to develop my inner being. I am going to transcend all of these traumas, all of these emotions within my life, and I am going to surrender. And I'm going to work together with that. Great, but prove that to yourself, right? Not to me. You don't have to answer to me. All I'm doing here, guys, is that I've spent the last 11 years of my life passionately, frequently committing to all of this work, and it has radically transformed my life, and I could not be happier with the person that I am today. And I want to share all of this with you guys because I do want to make it practical. I do want to make it simple for you. But you guys have to show yourselves that this is what you want, that this is why you're here. And this is the formula to empowerment. So anything that relates to the idea of conflict, anything that relates to the idea of battling or being combative with yourself, that's what you're working on. It's no longer a point your finger game, I blame this person, or I blame this situation, or I blame. It's no longer about excuses. Oh, I just don't know if I have the time to do this. I just don't know if I'm able to transcend all these old boundaries, etc. Excuse. And again, that's only a justification for you working with the identity of your shadows, okay? So when we get into that new class coming in November with the Spirit Ambassador Classroom, we want to work on transcending that because I'm going to catch you guys. If I catch you guys basically making excuses, basically putting blame games on anything else, I'm going to catch you. I say, hey, do you see what you're doing right there? You still need to work on that. You still need to work on the blame game. You still need to work on the excuses. We want to Again, like a person who wants to become an artist, commit ourselves to a new way of life. We want to live the artist's way of life. Well, in this way, we want to live the spiritually empowered way of life. And that is the formula. So behind me here, you can see my board only briefly. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of roll over so you guys can see what I wrote on the board, because I don't think you guys will be able to see it from where you are. So I wrote on the board here, it says formula to empowerment. Okay, and it's all point form. Again, when I do the video on YouTube, you guys will see this a little bit more clearly. But it says, look at struggle and conflict with the self, with others, and with event. Okay? So if you are looking at struggle, is it somebody else's fault? Is it somebody else's fault because you are struggling? Well, if I look back at the hundreds of videos that I've done throughout the years on YouTube, it's not about anybody else, right? It's about, yes, we've attracted this particular person or event into our life, or we feel bad about ourselves. But again, we're only continuing to feel that. It's like the idea that if we're going back into the artist analogy, that if I have a piece of paper and I mess up, maybe I miss a line or something like that, and I just start picking up the paper and I start scrunching it away, and I throw it against the wall and it's, oh, this is hopeless. I can't do this, blah, 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 blah. And we give up so easily. Well, it's the exact same premise when we're looking at the formula of empowerment. Oh, well, there's this person who did this, and I can't do this anymore. This person's so rough with me, and I can't get over this hurdle, etc. And we proverbially scrunch up that piece of paper and throw it against the wall. So we want to catch ourselves when we do that, okay? Transcend the story of your conflict, okay? I cannot emphasize this enough to all of you guys. Stop worrying so much about the melodrama of your story, about what you brought here, about how you got here, about how this all happened to you, etc. Because that's your justification. That's your leech that you're going back within the shadows and saying, oh, here's an excuse that I can't evolve. Here's an excuse that I can't align myself. I can't be the spiritually empowered being because of this story. And I hang on to this story like melodrama. I hang on to this story like it's just a piece of identity with myself. Let go of the story relating to your struggle, because all you're going to do is adopt it, and it's going to continue to make you feel disempowered. You're only going to be looking at the thoughts of a human rather than looking at the thoughts of God, the thoughts of spirit, the will of spirit, because that's where your empowerment lies, okay? So transcend the story by softening yourself with love and compassion. Call to spirit, call to the angels for additional support, okay? This is why we hear from so many people all over the world. When they know they've had a very troubling time, they breach. And as soon as they breach, they go to God. They pray. Please, God, please give me the power. Please give me the love. Please give me the strength to get past this entire situation. After they do that, all of a sudden, a miracle happens because they gave themselves to God. They gave this problem to God. And now God says, okay, poof, there you go. It is resolved. Remember what has happened here. Do not just dismiss it as a quote-unquote random miracle that happened, and then you'll never touch it again. Utilize the miracle that happens within your life, or the miracles that happen within your life, as a means of continuing to commit yourself to becoming an empowered spiritual being. That's why we're all here. And if you guys aren't here, I don't know why you're watching this video right now. Okay, so remember that. Remember to soften yourself, to give yourself love and compassion, because you have to learn to do this yourself. It's not about running to me and thinking, Brad, please give me love and compassion. I'm not the God over you. I'm only helping you guys, assisting you guys as a guide, teaching this information from Spirit to you so that you guys can educate yourself, so that you can work with yourself. And this shows me how committed you are to being a spiritually empowered being. Okay, that again is why you should be here. Then, of course, after we go through that, we want to what do? We go into BCR. We go into breath work. We go into calmness. We go into positive reinforcement. Okay? So when you know that there's a conflicting situation taking place, withdraw yourself. Take deep breaths. You keep breathing deeply until you reach calmness. Okay? So breath leads to calmness. Once you are calm, you are sitting in that calmness for as long as you need to therefore reinforce yourself and going into your own space. Okay? It's going into your awareness space. It's going into your abundance dimension. It's going into the power of your own mind. And now you are completely reinforcing everything within your life that you know you don't prefer by putting a lot of love energy into yourself. As I said, you cannot put out a fire if you're on fire. Okay? It's kind of a catch-22 there, right? Or even if you're going to throw a torch into a raging inferno, that's not going to do anything. So why do you think that you're going to try and resolve issues by being at the same level that they are? You can't. You need to lift yourself up. You need to raise yourself up and move yourself into that higher loving space. And this is, again, like I said, if I had a bunch of puppies in a box and I just dumped them all over your lap, how are you going to feel? Oh, this is cute. This is adorable. My heart is melting. I feel wonderful, right? If I basically put you in the middle of a field, you see all these beautiful animals just laying down upon you and just snuggling up to you. How would you feel? It feels great. If I basically took you up into the kingdom of heaven and all of a sudden you see all these angels around you and they're just offering you so much love, they're embracing you, how would you feel? Oh, that feels wonderful. Well, there you go. That's how easy this is, ladies and gentlemen, right? I'm not getting you guys to run 20-mile marathons. We're only just doing that through the conflict that we have been through since day one. Guys, we know that that conflict doesn't work. We have to reprogram it. We have to completely dissolve, and now we need to completely reprogram ourselves into a positive light. Okay, so that's what we're here to do. Integrate love. One before that. Receive concentrated love, put it to work, right? So that's what we do when we go into our reinforcement space. We put concentrated love energy together. We put that into our body, and now we program the love. And now the love starts working with the body altogether. And now you start to shift because you are commanding the love energy. You command the love energy to do whatever it is you want to do. Work with your body, work with your emotions, work with your mind, work with whatever you wish. You have a big conflicting emotion, give it to love because love is God. So give that energy to the love, give it to spirit, and let it be dissolved. You got a physical pain in your body, give it to God. Give it to love. Give it to spirit. And spirit will now start to dissolve it because you've put enough concentrated love energy into yourself to make that happen. That's how powerful this is. Spend more time within. Light up your soul. Oh, sorry, that's another one. I gotta remember where I'm going here. Integrate love and work with it to scrub away hurdles. Okay? So we want to continue to work with that love. We want to basically see that love as like a scrub brush, and that's scrubbing away all the hurdles that we feel we have to jump over. The minute that you try to jump over these hurdles, the more that you are liberated from them. If we're basically there and we're, poking the hurdle and we're kicking it and saying, why are you here? You shouldn't be here. It's horrible that you're here. And I'm going to start kicking dust at you and all that stuff. And now we're just giving into the hurdle. You're giving into the very mental creation that you have manifested. And now you're kicking it like crazy. And as soon as you kick it down, it just rises itself back up again. Stop trying to fight with your hurdles. Stop trying to fight with your shadows. Stop trying to fight with your conflicts. Stop trying to fight with your blames. Stop trying to fight with your excuses, because that is only going to rise it back up again. And when it rises back up again, it becomes 3 times bigger. So don't kick down your hurdles. Don't kick down your conflicts. Jump over them. Leap over them. Okay? Spend more time within. Light up your soul. Okay? That's a big one. Meditate a lot. We need to meditate a lot. We need to go into prayer. Start working with a notebook. Okay? Start getting a notebook out, your spiritual empowerment notebook, and start writing about your day. Don't even question about what you experienced in your day. Just write about it. This morning I woke up, I stubbed my toe. Ow. Okay. I put that in. This afternoon, car sprayed mud on me. Okay. I'm going to put that in. This afternoon, my husband was arguing with me. Okay. Put that in. No judgment. You're just documenting everything that came through with your life on that particular day. And once you're done, close the book, put it away until you are able to completely release from your day. Okay. Now, that's a very, very important thing. So this is what I recommend to everybody, because we will be getting into pendulums here in a little bit. But another thing I suggest to all of you guys is have a handwritten notebook. Okay. Not your computer, not your tablet, a handwritten notebook. So because when you write something down on paper, it's your own organic energy. You want to keep track of your own organic energy, because the way that you write on paper says a lot about yourself. So that's what I recommend to everybody here. It's up to you if you want to take it. I'm only giving you guys these steps if you want to take them, right? Because you're the artist here. But what I feel has worked, because I've done it in the past as well too, is just having a notebook and writing down the day. Once I've written down the day, I close the book up, I put it aside, and I work on myself. I start doing meditation, and I start clearing myself of the events of today. I come into the present. I be here, I be now. And now when I'm here, when I'm now, when I'm feeling good, whether it's later on in the day, whether it's the next morning, I open up that notebook and I look again at what was written. And now that I have a lot more balanced, calm perspective, I put a line just below everything that I wrote, and I start putting feedback. Okay? This is giving you the indication that this is indeed spirit feedback. You can call it the higher self, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Don't worry so much about labels, but just write down your feedback relating to what you experienced that day. What is it telling you? What is that day telling you? What are you noticing about yourself when you were in that alignment? I felt like I was very stubborn. Yes. I felt like I was trying to control things. Yes. And so you're writing all these things down, and now you're getting great, brilliant insight on what to work on. You're learning the lessons of life by doing that. Okay. And you just completely repeat that every single day. Every single morning, you wake up and you start journaling, or it can be in the afternoon, the evening, whatever you want. But just look at your day and just write it down objectively, right? Okay, I got splashed with mud. My husband, my wife was arguing with me, etc. I dropped a board on my foot today, whatever it is, right? You're just documenting your day. Once you're done, close up the book. Don't be judgmental upon yourself. Just write it down like a reporter, right? You're a journalist of your own day. You close up that book. You put it aside. You work on yourself. You do inner work. You do not open that book again, even if you miss a day. You do not open that book again until you're clear. When you're clear, the book comes back, you open it up, and now you do feedback, okay? So it's objectivity of how your day was, closing it up, doing inner work, neutralizing yourself, becoming clear, grab your book, open it up, put a line below your last entry, feedback. This is going to help you so exponentially, because now you're getting an understanding about the theme of your very life. You're getting an understanding about what you're going through life, of all of these events that have happened throughout your day. And now you're able to get feedback and say, oh, I see what I was doing here. I see what I was doing here. Because you're not attached to the information. If you're attached to that situation that happened on that day, you're not clear. You're still thinking of the ego. You still have those human thoughts. You need to close that book. The thoughts that come out of you through feedback are spirit's thoughts, not yours, not the human thoughts. We don't really care about human thoughts. We want to look into the thoughts of spirit. We want to look into your greater self. And so your greater self comes in and starts writing down those feedback notes. And now, done? Okay, move on to the next day and start writing out the next day altogether. Okay, so again, if you get into the habit of doing that, well, hey, that's one of the skills of the artist. You're working together with a spiritual, empowered notebook, and you're writing down your daily life. Just objectively, just like a reporter would, just like a journalist. Okay. Well, Brad, what happens when I'm really, really mad? And I said, well, just try and work yourself to get centered, because again, you're looking at this as a journalist. A journalist isn't going to go on the air and start spewing all this hate speech. It's not being a CNN, right? We're looking into much more of a integral journalism through ourselves. So work on that, okay? The notebook, that is a very, very handy tool. Okay, moving on to the next. Make God spirit your whole life. I cannot emphasize this enough, okay? Now, again, a lot of you are still attempting to understand what God is. You're still attempting to understand what spirit is. Well, guess what? You're never going to figure that out rationally. You're never going to figure that out logically. So don't bother trying, okay? Spirit is so beyond this world. It is so beyond this reality. It is so beyond our language. It is so beyond intellect. You won't get it. And if you keep trying to figure out what God is, you're going to be spending forever and ever trying to rationalize all this. Let go of the monkey rational mind. And when you can surrender to the intelligence field, like I've talked about as well too, that's what's going to shift you into a higher perspective. You are now going to start touching the intelligence field. You're now touching the field of God. You're now starting to touch the blueprint reality. And that perfect blueprint reality educates you in ways you can't imagine. Because you can have a relationship with spirit. You can call spirit, God, creator, whatever you wish. The divine, that's fine as well too. The source, you want to call it that, go ahead. But nonetheless, you're working with that powerful intelligence field. And this is what you want to make your entire life to be. So when you talk to an artist, what made you want to become an artist? I want to create. I want to write. I'm not really write. I want to print. I don't want to print either. I want to draw. I want to draw. I want to sketch. I want to create worlds. I feel like I can unleash my imagination. Well, the same thing goes relating to us as spiritual beings. I am liberating myself from all of these limitations placed upon through a physical body and a physical life, through physical programming, say that this is exactly what human is. Here's the equation to life. 9 to 5, work until you're 65, then retire, have a family, have a house, and then you'll drop dead at some point. That's one of the lamest forms of formulas I've ever heard. Just my own perspective. So how about this instead? We work with what we have brought into ourselves. We work with that energy. We turn it into light. We now start to empower ourselves. And now we understand the nature of the entire universe. We understand the nature of all of creation. Because now we are being the supreme artists. Now we are artists of life. Now we are artists of creation. Well, that sounds a lot better to me, right? I think that may sound better to you guys because that's why you're here. So again, bearing that in mind. Give all you don't prefer to God. Transcend perspective. There is only God. Okay? It's not even about experiences. It's not even about perspectives. Because again, we try to utilize those as stories. We create perspectives and experiences, and we cling on to those perspectives and experiences like that's the gospel of the entire universe. No, that is what you have experienced through your own reality. But again, as long as you're continuing to work with perspectives, the more that you value a perspective, the more that that turns into a belief. So perspectives are meant to be fluidic. They're meant to be like a river. You are seeing many different perspectives, but that is not the ultimate truth. You're only looking at a perception. You're looking at flowing liquid. You're looking at water. So how about giving up perspectives, giving up experiences, and just give everything you don't prefer to God? Sounds pretty simple, huh? Well, that's how simple it can be if you're able to commit to that. So this, again, is what I want to share with all of you pertaining to this formula. Okay, this is the formula to empowerment. As I said, I'm going to do a video about this. Also on the bottom of the board, it says, replace excuses with willing resolve. Replace blame with willing forgiveness. Replace rejection with willing acceptance. Okay, so you are replacing excuses, blame, rejection with resolve, forgiveness, and acceptance. Okay, so that is what is on the board. And that is what I wanted to share with all of you. Okay, so again, like I said, we're going to be talking a lot more about this in future classes as well too. and even as we get into the Spirit Ambassador Classroom, because the Spirit Ambassador Classroom is going to be a lot more thorough when we do it online, because we're going to have 10 classes. When I'm doing it through workshops, when I'm doing it through retreats, sometimes I get 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, etc., which is great. But then I'll be getting 10 full classes with you guys as well too. And you'll have just enough to work together in initiating yourself and becoming spirit ambassadors. Okay. So there you go. From Patrick, you can't put out a fire if you're on fire. Exactly. You got it, right? What are you going to do? You're like, oh, fire, put me out. I'm on fire here. Right? No, it's not going to work. First of all, you got to stop, drop, and roll. You got to roll yourself out and put out the fire. And now, rather than trying to put yourself into the flames by trying to put them out, no, it's a raging inferno. You got to lift yourself up, right? You got to bring in the water of love, as I would call it, and quenching out that fire altogether. And now it's no longer a part of your life. You're able to transcend that. In some reality, that fire is still happening, but you're not addicted to the idea of that fire, right? You're not holding on. So, oh my God, everything around me is burning up, et cetera, et cetera. Well, all you have to do is raise yourself in love, create that love water, and just douse all of that reality. And now you're ready to rebuild, because that's what conflict does. Conflict ignites our entire reality, and things around us will burn. People around us will burn. Events around us will burn. Locations around us will burn. All of that will burn, because that's the universe, that's spirit, that's God telling you it's time to get out of this theme of life. There is nothing that this theme of life can teach you anymore. You've learned everything you've needed to about this. If you're going to continue to stay where everything is burning, you're going to catch on fire yourself. And now you're trying to stop, drop, and roll, but now the fire becomes so intense you can't even do that. So this is again telling you, when you notice that your world is on fire, it's time to let that world go. It's time to raise yourself up. The rain comes, the rain quenches out all that fire, and while you're raising up higher and higher, you're now able to build an entirely new landscape from the space that you are now in. So that again is just a reminder of what we're doing here pertaining to empowerment, the formula of empowerment altogether. Like I said, that will be in a video coming up in the next little while as well too, because it's a very, very important video. Now, again, another thing that I want to talk about, of course, is utilizing this whole idea of being spiritually empowered to completely release yourself, okay? You notice that I said the word release. I did not say relieve, because this is what a majority of clients throughout the years have wanted from me. Brad, I'm going through hell. Can you please give me some relief? No, I won't, because I'm not here to give you guys a spiritual Tylenol. I'm not here to give you guys a spiritual aspirin. You say, okay, well, I'm going through so much hell, but hey, there's some spiritual stuff here. I'll take this pill and hey, it feels good for a little bit. Oh, wait, I crashed again. Because that's all that's going to happen. It's no more different than taking a painkiller, right? It'll give you a short amount of relief for a short amount of time, but then you'll crash again. And why does that happen? Because you are not taking your inner development seriously. You don't even want to be a spiritual being. You just want to be a human. You just want to play around with the toys. You want to have endless desires that are going to feed back upon you. And it's like a boxing glove that's constantly punching you in the face, because you are just getting addicted to this physical reality. You are too addicted to the body principle. You are too addicted to your environment. You are too addicted to the egos, to the personalities of both yourself and others. And you want to try and resolve it from a logical, intellectual standpoint. Guess what, guys? Not going to happen, because that can't happen. You have to move off into intelligence. You are not going to be able to resolve your life path if all you are ever thinking about is your memory, is your intellect, is the aspect of the mind pertaining to personality. That is only going to keep you inside the box that you are fighting to get out of. And again, people will come to me and say, Brad, can you give me some kind of relief? Please give me some relief. Give me a Tylenol. No, I'm not here to give you guys Tylenols. I'm teaching you guys how to completely lift yourself up out of this reality altogether. And you are released from this reality. You are free from it, which means that you're still walking the grounds of a physical earth, but you are in so much joy. You no longer are addicted to the aspects of squabbles, to the conflicts, to the combativeness, to the duality of this reality. You understand it's all a process. You understand it's all a transition. You understand this is all happening as a means from within yourself to discover that waypoint of harmony, to walk that golden path. And once you do, nothing bothers you anymore. It doesn't matter what the president's doing. It doesn't matter what the politics are doing or anything of that nature. You offer help where help is needed. Something on this planet catches on fire, you're bringing spirit in to help quench that out. You're not being apathetic, but what you're being is empowered. You're becoming an empowered being, walking the Creator's path. And so spirit works through you. Every word out of your mouth comes from spirit, just like what you're witnessing with me right now. All spirit coming out of my mouth, sharing this together with you guys. So again, we are not here to give some type of spiritual painkiller, some type of spiritual aspirin where you guys feel liberated. So what I want you guys to do right now is pick up your pendulum, if you have one, okay, and ask that question to yourself. Am I here to be completely released rather than to obtain relief? Okay, so my pendulum is moving in a yes response. Am I here to be completely released rather than seeking relief? Okay, so you're getting a pendulum response for that. So that's your own, that's spirit working together with you. For those of you who have done the spirit light initiations within the pendulum, that's spirit telling you this, right? I'm not here to give you guys a spiritual Tylenol, right? And if that's what you guys want, this isn't for you. You should leave. So again, what I'm telling you guys right now is teaching you this, how to completely liberate yourself, how to be completely free from life that represents survival mentality. And now you're coming into a living space. You're actually understanding the living universe. You're no longer in that survival universe. Well, Brad, why is this important to teach? Because if you want to move up into a higher density, you're not in a survival mentality anymore. That doesn't exist. You're in a living mentality. You're a living being. You're now entering the true living universe. And that's what's happening. You're going to move into a completely different universe when you hit fourth density, when you go up into that next earth. That's a completely different universe looking down at third density. They will be aware of the third. The third will not be aware of the fourth. So again, what really sets a lot of us back is we kind of look around and saying, is my mother following me? Is my father following me? Is my brother going to follow me? Is my friends going to follow me? My coworkers, are they going to follow me? My children, are they going to follow me? My grandchildren, are they going to follow me? That's really what's on your mind, is constantly worrying about what another person's path is, because you may start to do a lot of great inner work with yourself, but now you're turning your head and you're looking, what about him? What about her? What about him? Right? We get into that mentality. You have to understand that you are attempting to become an example, a shining example. You're on display. You're on display as it relates to your love because you're working with yourself. But you have to let people make up their own mind about where they want to be. Because if you are basically clinging on to people and saying, well, I don't want to move on to higher levels until my mother does it, or until my brother does it, or et cetera, well, then you are clinging yourself to the survival matrix. You're going to stay in that way, enslaved to their own whims, because that's the reality that they prefer. And again, you have to learn to let go of that. You have to learn to let go of the feeling of clinging on to relationship, because when you truly love a soul, because that's who your mother is. Your mother's a soul. Your father's a soul. Your brother's a soul. Your sister's a soul. Your best friend's a soul. Your children are souls. When you start forming a relationship with their soul, you will meet so many different perspectives of them. It'll be unbelievable. But you don't even really care about the perspectives, because now you have a relationship with their soul. You see past this. And now you see energy. Now you see life. Now you see spirit. Now you see the true essence of the mind. You see their soul. You see love. That is the relationship that is everlasting. It's not this physical body. Guys, I could be dead tomorrow. I could be dead next week. I could be dead next year. This physical body expires. Oh, Brad's not here anymore. Of course I am. I'm everywhere. And when those who have a relationship with my soul realize that, I've never left your space. I've never left your side, because you've formed a relationship with your soul and the souls of others. And you got to look past this physical canvas. You got to get past the body principle, right? We just relate so much to this flesh body. You see me on a screen as a flesh body and think, well, that's Brad. Well, sure. Maybe that's the name of this body. Maybe the name of this body is Brad. But my soul has no such name. It's beyond all that, because I am everywhere and I am everything, just like you are everywhere and you are everything. You must get past this body principle ego mentality of thinking that as soon as a loved one passes, you'll never see them again. Have you established a relationship with their soul? And if you have, they'll visit you in all forms of realities and all different types of forms altogether. Or, again, in the grandest way of understanding, you will see their soul as they will see yours. That's what I want to teach you guys a lot, is to start working with your souls. Start connecting with your souls. Start advancing yourself with your souls. Form a relationship with your soul and the souls of others, because that's the true aspect of being present with perfection, is understanding one's soul and understanding the soul of others. That's the whole aspect of moving deeper and deeper into spiritual empowerment. Okay. So I think what we'll do now is, since we've got about 45 minutes left, we will go ahead to questions now. So again, if you guys do have questions, you want to leave them on the chat, you can certainly do that as well too. Where do we access the pendulum light initiation? I think it is in class number 4. It's in one of the classrooms. I'm not too sure if I remember, but some people here will remember, so they can help you out as well too. But it is certainly there. In the meantime, if you just have a pendulum, you can start working on it as well too, right? It can be used with looking into your own Akasha. But yes, I would suggest looking at that video. And again, I believe it is classroom number 4 altogether. Okay, so if you guys have questions, you can open up your mics, you can open up your video if you want, and you can pop on. If you guys have any questions, feel free to either use it that way, or you can pop on the group chat as well too. Any questions from the audience right now, since we have 11 other participants on today? Okay, Patrick has a question. Okay, Patrick, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself, Patrick. You're muted. Or that, or it might be your microphone. If your microphone's not plugged in.
Let me try.
Okay, I can hear you now.
How about, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, great. Apparently my all-in-one headset decided to not work.
That happens.
Well, I actually wanted to share something that was really cool.
Go ahead.
I was really concerned about my family for quite a while, and especially because my wife has reoccurring health issues. And I was having stress-related seizures. And what happened was my wife was in the hospital, and I went up to see her with my children, and I wound up having a seizure in the car when I was the only person with my children, and we were an hour away from home and friends. And what wound up helping me down the road was my kids were perfectly fine. They took care of each other, and they kept checking on me to make sure I was alive and okay and responsive. And as I got better, I realized that everybody was going to be fine. And that helped relieve that feeling for me of constant worry for my family and for my kids, especially.
That's a wonderful experience, man.
Hopefully other people won't need something quite so traumatic to help them out.
But see, that's breach. This is what I've talked about as well too, is that there will be a point where a breach will hit, and you will truly see exactly how together your family is, your children are in that way when something like that happens, right? It's a realization. It says, oh my goodness, I had this. And now I realize exactly how my kids were. I realized how everything is. Well, Now that's helping me to shift into the next paradigm, right? So you know that your kids are fine. They're all good. So like I said, if your wife has certain situations health-wise that are burdening her in that sense, well, that's you being the shining light now, right? You have this education, you have this knowledge now. Now you can sit down with your wife and you can start working with spirit. You can start working with your guides. You can start working with her angels. You can start bringing them in and saying, okay, well, what is it? Like you say, honey, are you okay with, we'll work on this. We'll work on clearing out a lot of these health issues, because what is it that causes unhealthiness? An unhealthy mind, an unhealthy body, and unhealthy emotions, right? So all of that energy starts stacking up and it starts blocking these areas and saying there's restriction here. There's restriction, there's conditions. So we want to start working with that. So that would be something good. You can, of course, introduce her to the healing code cards or anything of that nature if you want to, or the BCR technique. Those are good techniques. Those are simple things that are available to you. But the important part is that you're working together with her. And like I said, work more with people's souls, especially your own as well, too. That gives you the different human perspective transition. And now you're coming into soul perspective, and that's much more powerful.
Yeah, it's been helping me a lot, and I've been seeing us gradually get better. And as I've dived more into, I was neglecting myself for a while because I was concerned about my kids. But then after that event, I started focusing on myself a bit more. And as I let go of concern and worry and other things holding me back, I find that I make these leaps forward and helping myself, helping others.
Yep.
Pretty amazing.
And you may notice that as well too, that you're feeling so together yourself, you're not even concerned about yourself. Now you're going to work with your kids. Now you're going to work with your wife. Now you're going to work with your family, your friends, etc., and people who you're just meeting right now too. So the whole key here is just get yourself in a state of natural order. Once you're in a state of natural order, you're understanding yourself, you're spending time in meditation, and now you're coming out and saying, I feel good. I feel really good about myself. So now how is everybody else in my life feeling? And now I'm going to offer compassionate service to them. So I'm going to do that service to others mentality, right? Because that's the key. So again, for example, if you want to spend 30% of your day on yourself, working on yourself and doing that, great. So how about the next 70%? My kids, my wife, my family, my friends, the internet. Maybe I'll go on YouTube, I'll make a video, because that's me caring for thousands of people that see my channel, that see my work. So whatever it is that you feel is bringing yourself to that service to others mentality, that is also important to incorporate as well.
I've been thinking about doing a website and a YouTube channel and learning more about how to do that as a business model. And I'm being drawn more and more to at least one of them being very much almost like one idea that popped in my head a while back was the free life coach, is essentially doing life coaching things, but for free. Yep. I see so many life coaches that are, here's a free masterclass, now buy my $500 program. Like, how about I just do the whole thing on YouTube?
That's okay. It's okay. You know, I'm not too critical about a person who wants to do things for free or if they want to charge, because if they know that they're doing something for charging, it's if it's worked together in a state of complement, it helps. But like I said, you just have to work wherever you want to go. Looks like your kids want your attention right now. So
yeah, something always comes up when these classes are about to do, but things balance out.
There's a reason for that, right? So again, Spirit is telling you something about, you know, working with your kids in that way. So, right. So whatever attention they want, make sure you give it to them.
I do. I'm learning how. I was starting to get headaches from stress about just constantly bouncing back and forth between people.
That too is a sign, right? So look into that notebook, right? That notebook idea about your daily life, right? And then put it aside. Good. You're good to go work with that. Let me know how that goes when our next class comes about.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Okay. We're going to move down to a couple of questions here. Here's one from Christina. How does the activator healing code cards work? Well, they're not called activator healing cards. They're called healing code cards. So the website, and I'll show it to you guys here, is healingcodecards.com. Okay. That is the website because there are digital edition of the cards available. The printed cards are going to be coming out around late October, early November, most likely November. Okay, most likely November for the printed cards. But the healing code cards are, again, working with spirit codes. So again, here's one example of a card here. Okay, that's the amplifier card, or the 20X amplifier card, for an example. So I basically create a geometry. I create art for this. And now I basically have a script that I follow with spirit relating to everything that I want to put inside this card. and I imbue spirit light, spirit codes directly into this card. Once that happens, everybody who has this art of the card will receive the spirit codes remotely. So as soon as you have this card in your hands, you can't really see it too clearly, of course, but once you clearly see it, any codes that I put into this card, everybody else remotely receives them instantly at the same time. Okay, so this is a very good thing for updates, because I am getting people saying, oh, Brad, I have this virus, I have this bacteria, etc. And I noticed that that hasn't been put into the card. And so I just basically open up that card, I take out my script, I write a script for it, and then I connect with spirit and I put those spirit codes inside the card. And now instantly, boom, as soon as it's in the card of my copy here, it's in your card because you have the same copy. So now you can start to use those healing code cards towards the areas of your body. So it's the body deck that is available right now. So the body deck focuses primarily on the physical body. Okay, so it focuses on headaches, it focuses on migraines, it focuses on body problems, and it works to detoxify all kinds of viruses, everything, right? It's kind of like how many people are familiar with the medical medium, okay? So you're basically looking at his books and he's working to physically get you better. Well, that's exactly what the healing code cards are doing, okay? They are working to physically get you better. And the next deck that will come together will be the mind deck. So that will be releasing next summer. So next summer, the mind deck will come together. That will clear out entity attachments. That'll work with a lot of emotional identity, etc. You also have things like lucid dreaming cards. You'll have astral projection cards, etc. So we'll have that in the mind deck. But that, again, is next summer. So right now, the body deck works with facilitating health in your physical body. And all you do is you pick up the card and you do the first step, looking at it for 60 seconds. So I'm just here with my card, looking at it, gazing directly at it for 60 seconds time. Once the 60 seconds are up, now I can charge water with it. I can put it again, I can lean it against water, and now it's charging water for 60 seconds. Or I can put it on my body, and now it's working with my body. And I can leave it on the body for at least 60 seconds, or I can do it even longer as well too. What I usually do is I put it on top of the crown. I put it on top of my head. What I've discovered is that when you actually put these cards on top of your crown chakra, it actually starts to have a much more effective sensation, a much more effective result in that. You can certainly put it on your body, and some people can feel like heat coming from their body as well too, and that's great. You can put it anywhere on your body that you wish, but I recommend the crown chakra, because as soon as I do that with a lot of the cards, then I noticed this almost instantaneous healing effect coming about. So it's very, very powerful. So that's how the healing code cards work in a nutshell. They are basically permission slips that contain spirit codes, and it does not matter if you believe in them or not. They still work. So I could look at this and saying, I don't believe in this one bit, but I'm going to start working with it. All of a sudden it starts working. It starts healing. Because what these codes do is they override karma. Because spirit is in them, God is in them. They are living, intelligent cards. And so it's like the tarot, right? But I feel it's even more intelligent than the tarot is, because spirit is imbued in every single one of those cards. And now you're working with pure intelligence. One who is very much in tune can tap into those cards. And let's say, for example, that they have a lungs enhancer, and they're actually going to start talking to their own lungs enhancer and saying, I have this with my lungs. Maybe Brad hasn't put it in the card. Can you heal it for me? It will. And so now you put it in the lungs enhancer because it's its own intelligence. And so now you're going to start working with that. These cards are phenomenal. They are by far the most powerful and popular product I've ever created, because spirit is within them. And of course, I recommend having them as best as frequently as you can, and working with them on your body, because they do incredible feats of work through spirit. Okay. Thank you very much for your question, Christina. Okay, Elizabeth asks, can you speak a little bit more on the intelligence dimension? Yes, I certainly can. Of course, it is a little bit challenging because the intelligence dimension is so non-physical in that way. It's very much intangible. But when you start to work with the intelligence dimension, it's kind of almost like a dimension of miracles as well too. It's like I've talked about earlier, when you are basically hitting a breach and all of a sudden you pray to God to helping you out, all of a sudden this miracle happens to you. Well, in that moment, you just touched the intelligence dimension. So any miracle that you feel has happened in your life is you briefly touching the intelligence dimension. Okay, it's where you are completely committing yourself to God, to spirit, to creator, to the divine, and you are pulling that veil over you, and now you're letting spirit in. And now through the intelligence dimension, you can work with your body, you can clear up your body, you can actually start to clear up other people's bodies, you can override their karma, right? When you are truly connected with spirit, a person says, oh, I feel like I'm karmically suffering, etc. And if spirit's already saying, you know what, it's okay, we can clear this for them. It's okay to do that. Go ahead and clear them. And their karma is gone. So because you are the catalyst to that aspect of a miracle that comes through. At times, I will get that from spirit. Spirit will say, you know, Brad, it's okay. You can get their karma out of there. They've learned the lesson to the point now where that karma can now be completely dissolved. Done. And now it's done. You look at what Jesus did on this planet. He was the epitome of connecting to the intelligence dimension, okay? He was the Father was him. I am the Father is me. I am the Mother is me. I am God, the God is me, right? All of that, you are symbiotically connected to the intelligence dimension. And the intelligence dimension is simply called that because that is where the perfection blueprint exists. The blueprint representing the perfection of all reality. It's God's domain, right? It's spirit's domain. And when you start touching that field, and nobody really talks about this. The only people that really talk about this are the yogis, right? There's ancient yogis that talk about this, that have talked about this for thousands and thousands of years. And there's some yogis of today that are talking about this. But a lot of people in the spiritual New Age movement don't talk about the intelligence field at all because they don't even know about it, right? A lot of beings, like I said, that go up into sixth density believe themselves to be the God, right? It's very, very true. I know AJ Miller has talked about this in the past as well too, and is absolutely true. I can connect with that as well too. And there certainly is a lot of beings up in the sixth density, which is the highest plateau to the astral realm, where they think that they've reached the top, or they feel that there's nowhere else to go, or they've already reached the epitome of heaven. You're not even close, right? So again, people connect to these particular types of beings, and they feel that these beings are so godlike, and they have all this information, when in fact many of them are quite clueless, right? And it's kind of sad to say that, but that's really where they are, right? It's when you actually go past the sixth, and in order for you to go past the sixth density, you move into God light, you move into the creator's path. So you now start working with the intelligence dimension. So the intelligence dimension moves past the sixth density, it goes up into the seventh, the eighth, et cetera, keeps going up further in that way. But it's like a ladder that you just keep climbing. We don't really know how many, harmonic dimensions there really are. Some people feel that they do know, but that again is only looking at it from a certain perspective. Some people say, oh, there's 145 dimensions in this universe, etc. In this universe, what about universes beyond that? What about beyond the universal plateau? There's still more rungs of the ladder to climb, right? It just doesn't end, right? There really is no idea about how far up you can climb up the dimensions or the spheres relating to coming to God, right? Because God can come to you from any particular level. Here in third density, God can come in and have a relationship with you. The fourth density, God can do that. The fifth, the sixth, the seventh, all of it. God can connect with you at any particular dimensional reality, because that's God. God can do all. God is all. So again, this is where we start to work with the intelligence dimension, and it's like we're coming into God's essence. It's like we're coming into God's spirit. We're coming into that powerful domain where everything is harmonic perfection blueprint. And now we're blueprinting everything. Everything becomes blueprinted. So when you guys are using the healing code cards, you're being re-blueprinted into harmony because they all connect to the intelligence dimension, okay? So the intelligence dimension is actually what the yogis and a lot of the ancient masters have taught us about one of the ultimate spaces to be into, is when you start working with the intelligence dimension, you're working so close to God. You're working with God in that way. So when you start touching the intelligence dimension, like I said, you go back to when you feel a miracle. A miracle has happened in your life. Well, that is a moment of touching the intelligence dimension. Because the intelligence dimension, again, is that perfect harmonic blueprint. It feels like it just resets something. And all of a sudden, oh my God, I can't believe I survived from that crash. I can't believe that all of a sudden there's a check that comes in the mail that bails me out of this whole situation. Incredible. Intelligence dimension. right? You have the ability when you start working with the intelligence dimension to manifest as many checks as you want in your bank, right? It's not a problem. You can manifest great health within yourself. You can, again, spirit is willing to work on another person to clear out their karma. You can do that for them, right? So spirit will always tell you it's okay. Sometimes the spirit will say, well, no, you have to kind of let him work with a little bit more of his space, but here's what you can tell him instead. So you're still offering something, because it's really ultimately God's decision about, clearing out the aspect of pure and total piles of karma that we contain within ourselves. And that's just representing the idea of actions pertaining to one mindset, because karma is just action. Okay, there really is no such thing as negative or positive karma. We use it that way in a form of convenience, but really the whole idea is that we've made choices that we know we don't prefer, and to that person, that's a negative choice. That's a negative path that they followed. So what do? Well, we start reorienting ourselves, just like I've been talking about in today's broadcast, and we now start to make better choices. We make choices to atone ourselves. And that is moving deeper into our own empowered self and even deeper into the intelligence dimension. So that in a nutshell, Elizabeth, is what I can share about that. Okay. Down here I think Eric has a question as well too. So Eric, you can pop on if you like.
Hi, Brad.
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Good. I've been having intense dreaming every single night for over a month now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when I wake up, I feel like I'm both tired and energized at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like my head is overloaded with energy. The best way I can explain it.
Now, are these like nightmarish dreams, or are they excited dreams?
What the dreams are about. It's just like it's dreams. You feel like I'm dreaming the entire night sometimes,
mm-hmm.
and also wake up several times in the night, some nights, and remembers a dream every time.
Now, again, that is a type of activation as well, too, because you're becoming a lot more lucid in your dream space as well, too. So what it's also teaching you is that when you do a little bit of inner work with yourself, you can actually start to become lucid within your dreams as well, too. So you can now start to interact with any people, places, events, things that are taking place within your dream. But it's an activation that's happened. So something is happening within the brain that's allowing the dream space for you to become a lot more vivid in that way, and actually living through that dream space a lot more. So this is giving me the idea that there's an ability awakening within yourself where you can discover many answers once you start to work in relationship together with your dream plane to discover whatever you want to discover through it. So it's a new dimension that's opening up to you in that sense. Your body's becoming aware of that. And I can relate to that because my dreams have been extremely vivid as of late as well too. There's times where I'll go into lucid control and I'll start, if it feels like a dream that's not too fancy for me, right? Then I'll basically create an escalator and I'll start going up this escalator and I'll go up into a higher dimension. And now I'll start working with angels in that way. And now I can start communicating with them and talking with them in that way. So basically what it's saying is that the dream space is becoming much more available to you. And once you start to work together with lucidity, you can now start to interact with this realm and discover whatever it is you want to discover, whether it be health, whether it be memories, whether it be other lifetimes, whether it be working with other people in your life as well too, messages, all of that can come together. So you're just becoming accessible to another plane of reality that's willing to now open itself up and help you and assist.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thanks for your question. Okay, moving on. I'm going to look at the next question here. Okay, this is from Mary. Mary says, hi, Brad. Can you give more details about parallel universes? Are we personally constantly shifting into parallel universes as we individually raise our frequency? Thank you. Absolutely. All the time. Right? It's kind of like how Bashar has said as well, too. You're in every single parallel reality every moment that you exist, right? Right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. All of those are parallel realities in total. But you have to understand that a parallel reality is a static reality, right? There are no dynamic flowing realities. We allot the idea of static reality into a flow because of the continuity of our consciousness, because of how our mind works in that sense. But one static frame equals one parallel reality. But it's kind of like what I've talked about before is like a bundle of string, right? So you have this very large bundle of string, And these all incorporate different parallel realities, all different frames. But this bundle of string relates to a certain theme. So the theme that you are exploring in this way will start to circumvent through the idea of these bundle of strings that contain all these frames. You can also look at it as a bundle of film strips in that way too. That might be a better example. You're basically looking at these bundle of film strips all together, all simultaneously, and that represents a specific theme. So it follows some form of continuity as you go through the spiral of continuity and connecting to all these frames per second, right? Massive amount of frames per second. Yes, those are all parallel realities as well too. And you can even cross into certain forms of realities within that bundle that may feel almost out of place in a way, right? Because it's letting you know that something is attempting to shift in your reality, and there needs to be that kind of result, something that there's almost a surreal moment coming into your life because you're making some type of tremendous shift, right? It's kind of like what Eric was just talking about, relating to the idea of going into the dream planes and becoming much more vivid about that. Well, that's a tremendous shift, right? So those frames still continue even when you're in the dream plane. What's happening is you're just going to different bundles. You're going to different bundles of frames, and within these different bundles of film strips, and you're accessing different dimensions. You're accessing different relationships, because within our field, we have countless bundles of film strips. But these bundles of film strips come together because we are understanding the relationships that we forge. There's relationships that we understand on this planet, and there's relationships that are beyond the body. And we experience that quite commonly in dream time. But again, it still relates to some type of theme of relationships. So maybe, for example, we see an 8-foot tall reptilian in our room, and he's basically just doing this to us, shh, right? And all of a sudden, poof, he vanishes away. Oh my God, Brad, I saw like an 8-foot tall reptilian, etc. Well, that's us getting too caught up into the story, right? What was the element of that situation? Oh, he just basically told me to shush because I was starting to panic. He just said shh, and as soon as he said that, I started to calm. And so, again, this is the whole idea, is we look at that sweet essence. We look at the sweet essence of what that reality is sharing to us and saying that before I react, maybe I should calm myself and just feel out what this being is like, rather than just looking at the surface of everything. I want to look into the core of everything and just saying, shh, and all of a sudden you feel calm, and now that being disappears, right? This can happen. It's, again, people that get too caught up in the story, right? We get too caught up in the surface of things, and we feel that, oh my God, we got scared because we see a surface-based thing that may make us afraid. But when we take a moment to calm ourselves down, we actually see the divinity in that being, right? So it could be a very scary looking 8-foot tall reptilian being popping into your room, but there is no malicious intent from that being whatsoever. They just say, shh, and now you're calm, and now you understand that was a part of your soul. That was a part of your essence. So again, there's all these lessons. It's all just lessons through relationships. We just continuously create lessons and relationships wherever we go. And so these bundles of strings, or these bundles of film strips, are telling us that we're going parallel reality to parallel reality every single moment that we exist through this continuity phase, to helping us educate more about the relationships that we have forged, and especially the relationships that we don't prefer, because what you don't prefer always gets more energy than what you do prefer, because that's the secret. Okay, guys, so this is something very important that you should write down, or of course this is recorded as well too. But when you have something you don't prefer, that is a much more powerful energetic to you than what you do prefer, because when you do prefer something, it's a subtle line. When you don't prefer something, oh my God, I'm getting emotional about this. I don't know if I can handle this. This is getting crazy. Blah, 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 blah. And that's the sine wave telling you about that. This is why when you go into dream time and you are very stressed out, you're very tense, you're very conflicting, you're getting the majority of conflicting dreams, because this has so much more energy to it than this. Because when you are preferring something, it's such a subtle band. It's such a subtle frequency. There's no real energetic behind it. You just feel calm. You feel relaxed. You feel centered. You feel composed. And that doesn't take a lot of energy. That's your energy at ease. But as soon as you see something you don't prefer, right, it's like a 9.9 on the Richter scale. That's why these things come up first. That's why your conflicts come up more often than the idea of harmony, because your conflicts have the most of your energy behind it. Oh my goodness, there was a car crash. Or oh my goodness, my husband, my wife left me, and all this stuff. And we get into these spirals of dreams in these realities where we start looking at these aspects of fear, because that's the most powerful thing in your mind that's creating this Richter scale, an intense Richter scale of a sine wave that's getting all of your energy. And that energy is now so powerful, so strong, that that's all you're going to think about, right? So what do? You work on calming it down, right? So now you start bringing a powerful energy that feels a lot more harmonious, but it's big, relating to love. And now you're so in love, you're crying tears, you're smiling, you're laughing, you feel so overwhelmed with bliss. And that too is a powerful sine wave. It's not like this, but it's like this. It's going up and down. It's intense, but it's such a beautiful intensity. It's such a positive intensity. And so now we substitute. We take out that old negative energy of dense energy that we're no longer putting our energy towards, and now we favor the bliss moment. And now the bliss moment completely overshadows that energy and cancels it out. So now that bliss that was like this, now just slowly starts to become this, because now you're moving into a state of calmness, okay? This is the nature of frequency, everybody, okay? So when you are putting a lot of energy towards something that you don't prefer, you're spiking it up. And that's why your thoughts move towards that. Oh my goodness, I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my wife. I'm going to lose my partner. This is happening. This horrible thing is happening right here. All of your attention goes right there. And it's like constant Richter scales, just going crazy and hitting you with for a loop. This is why your guides, your angels will come in and saying, you've got to calm down. Take a deep breath, relax, right? Everything is going to be fine. And it is going to be fine, because when you make it fine, it will be. Right? And so now this incredibly violent sine wave that's happening all at once is now starting to turn into bliss, because now you're taking deep breaths. You say, okay, I'm going to calm myself down. I'm going to go into my perfect space. I'm going to see puppies being dropped on my lap. I'm going to see all this wonderful stuff happening to me. Oh, this is so blissful. This feels really nice. Okay, now the bliss wave is coming in, and its energy is equal to or greater than the conflicting sine wave. And so now it overshadows that conflicting sine wave and cancels it out, because now bliss has taken over. So that's how you are able to completely catch yourself. And that's the key here. Whenever you're about to feel upset, see yourself like a catcher's mitt, and it's just going, I got me. I caught me. It's okay. Because this happens a lot when I was doing my retreat, right? There are students that were coming to me, and they immediately just felt disempowered. They immediately were just going back into their old ways. And so I don't know if I can do this, and I catch them right away. So you realize I just caught you, right? Look what you're putting your energy into as soon as you dive into the aspect of your demise, right? Your conflict can catch you so easily. It's seductive, right? Because we put so much energy into this, and because we're very undisciplined, we don't know how to counteract that. All we have in our mind is this incredible sine wave. And if I say, oh, if I just give it no attention, it won't bother me. Are you kidding me? No, it's gonna get your attention. No, it's gonna bother you, because you're doing absolutely nothing to resolve that sine wave of conflict. So what do? We do the BCR technique. We do breath work. Times 5, times 10, times 100, if you have to, until you're feeling completely calm. And now that you're feeling calm, you're in that calm space, you're feeling relaxed. Now you go into your reinforcement. Now you go into your positivity. Now you see the puppies dumping on your lap, or being dumped on your lap. Not dumping on your lap, it'd be kind of gross, but being dumped on your lap, right, through a box. Now you see your angels coming in. Now you see all of these wonderful stimulations of bliss coming into your reality. And now it's a positive harmonic sine wave. And now you can take that into yourself like a concentrated ball of love energy. And now you command it. What would you like us to do for you, Master? Right? That's the love energy speaking to you. Master, what would you like us to do for you? Please clear away all this dense energy of conflict that I'm feeling. No problem. Done. because your bliss was equal to or greater than that conflicting wave, right? That's BCR technique, guys. That's why I recommend you keep doing this, right? But you take this seriously. If you want to be a good artist, you practice every day. If you want to be a spiritually empowered, free being, you do this every day. No excuses, no conflicts, no nothing. Nothing should be stopping you from feeling completely blissed out from having all this, because I'm not here to relieve you, I'm here to release you. Okay? And now you release yourself from that conflict. And if you feel there's little bits there, okay, I'm going to put a little bit more bliss energy into it. And your reality transforms. Okay? Here's an important thing for you guys to remember as well. Reality does not happen to you. Reality happens from you. Okay? It's not going this way. It's going this way. From me. It's coming from me. It's coming through me. I'm broadcasting it. So when I find harmony, I find peace within my life, I notice all of these quote unquote negative characters that I've aligned to are now shifting out of my life completely. All of a sudden they're moving to another town, or they're no longer in my job anymore. All of these things now start to shift because you're not broadcasting those frequencies of conflict anymore. You're now in harmony. And so they instantly become canceled out. And now reality, your reality body is going to work in kind to completely replace all of that conflicting energy with bliss energy, because reality happens from you, not to you. Okay? That's an important thing to remember. You have to remember, catch yourself, right? Oh, Brad, I don't know if reality is happening from me. I think it's happening to you. And you catch yourself. Look at what you just did. You're putting in your human thoughts. You're putting in your human worries again. You're putting in your human ego again. And no offense to the human, but the idea of our intellect is dumb. Okay? And again, all it really relates to the idea is memory, is that we can remember a lot of great things, we can have certain forms of intellect, etc. Yes, and that can certainly be beneficial in certain degrees of physical reality. But when you come into pure intelligence, you shift reality, you command reality. Everything relating to your life becomes incredibly shifted because you have become truly intelligent. And the only way you're actually going to become truly intelligent is when you bring spirit into yourself, right? When spirit brings the intelligence to you, when you become that essence of spirit of intelligence, that is true intelligence. Okay, a lot of the stuff that we favor in the modern world is all intellect. And intellect, again, has a certain place for it in physical reality. But intellect can't really imagine. Okay, intellect has the incapability to imagine. It has the inability to innovate. When you are innovated, you're touching a little bit of that intelligent field. It's a little tiny bit because that's where the blueprints are. The blueprints are in the intelligence field. So when a person comes up with a great idea, they have a little dewdrop of the intelligence field coming into themselves. And so there's that intelligence energy that comes in, you receive it, you perceive it, and now it's brought into being altogether. The intelligence field has done that, okay? Not the intellect field, because the intellect field can only recall what's happened, right? It's a recalling device. That's the intellect. It recalls this. Oh, I remember at 6:30 a.m. Yesterday morning, I got up and I remembered exactly what I was wearing. I remember the bed sheets in my bed. I remember all these things. Okay, that's great. That's intellect. That's not intelligence. Okay, so you may have a very sharp memory, and like I said, it can work very well for physical reality, and that's great. But when you start working into the state of intelligence, where you can now completely shift yourself into a completely different person, and now your reality becomes bigger, that's intelligence. The ability to evolve, the ability to transform your reality, the ability to shift everything that you don't prefer, that's intelligence. Okay? All right. Moving down the list here. Okay, here's one here from Regina. I have a very aggressive case of poison ivy and am in rough shape. Would you recommend Skin Card or a different one for this? Thank you. Well, what did I just talk about, Regina? Right? You have to, again, transcend the idea of any form of itch or irritation that comes together, right? You want to focus your mind and move yourself into a point where you're now receiving so much blissful energy this concentrated love energy comes together into you. You put it into your body. Spirit, I have this poison ivy itch. Can we completely cancel it out? No problem. Done. Okay, now to be fair, I haven't put poison ivy into the healing code cards yet. But like I said, what I was talking about earlier as well too, is you can use the skin enhancer and you talk to it because it's intelligence and saying, skin enhancer, I have poison ivy. Can you help me to release this? Certainly. And now skin enhancer will do that as well too. So again, it is also programmed to work with you, right? It's an intelligence. So you can do that additionally. But what I'd recommend firstly is work with the BCR technique, okay? I've been bitten by poison ivy too. I know how it feels. So what you want to do is you want to concentrate. You want to concentrate on a feeling. You want to concentrate on a particular state of focus, all right? And now you're going into that and saying, well, besides the poison ivy, because now I'm completely calm, I'm not concerning myself about it too much. Now I'm going to start bringing in blissful stimulation into my reality, right? Now the bliss wave is here. You concentrate that into love energy. You put that into your body. Clear away the poison ivy. Okay, done. So it's like you're measuring your intensity about how much the poison ivy bothers you, right? And that's a very intense wave. So you want to make sure that your bliss energy is equal to or greater than that distorted conflict wave. And you're making it a bliss wave, okay? So yes, you can use the healing code cards, but what I'd recommend is you start working with the BCR technique first, okay? Try that first. And then secondly, if you want to move on to the healing code cards, go ahead and do that, right? But especially for you being in here in this class, I want you guys to discover conflicts within your reality, okay? I want you to discover physical pains. I want you guys to discover emotional upsets and just listen to everything that I shared here relating to the BCR technique, relating to the notebook, and start doing it. And without my help whatsoever, I want you guys to resolve this, okay? So I just want you to pick one thing. What's the one thing happening to you right now that you know you don't prefer, that you're ready to transcend, okay? For Regina, I guess that's the poison ivy, okay? For anybody else, maybe it's an emotional state, maybe it's a trauma that's happened in childhood. Maybe it's a back pain, maybe it's a headache, whatever it is. I want you guys to go ahead and transmute that into something very, very loving and very, very blissful. And I'm not going to help you one bit, okay? I want you just to look back at everything that I shared here. I want you to write things down on that notebook. I want you to do the BCR technique. And I want you to come back and saying, Brad, I was able to resolve this myself. Good. That's what I'm talking about, right? You have to resolve this yourself because that's what's going to give it the most thorough job, right? Spirit, of course, can work with you through the healing code cards, but of course, it's also working with you through the BCR technique. So I want you guys to really feel your connection to the intelligence dimension because you are bringing in this love, you're bringing in this pure bliss all together. And now you can email me later and saying, Brad, I did this, I resolved it. I feel better now. Great. Because what does an artist do? They practice art every single day because it's their life. What does a spiritual empowered being do? They work with their own inner being because it's their life. They connect with God because God is life. They connect with spirit because spirit is life. Show me, guys, that you are committed to doing this, that you're not here for spiritual Tylenol, right? That you are here to free yourselves. Because if you're not here to free yourselves, I don't know why you guys are even here, right? I want to make sure that you guys are able to do release and not relief. Okay, you're not here for a dopamine injection. You're not here for intaking a pill. You're here to set yourselves free, to completely release yourselves altogether. And I've told you guys time after time how to do that. So show it to me. Show me what you can do. But most importantly, show it to yourself. Show it to yourself and see what you have been able to do as a result of this, okay? So we got about 5 minutes left. And if anybody else has any other questions, Regina just said, thank you. I needed to hear that. I will breathe and put it into perspective and use BCR. Maybe this poison ivy is here to teach me how to transcend physical. Don't go into story, okay? Don't worry about that, about, oh, okay, well, you know, I got this big bruise on my arm, and I think this bruise on my arm is trying to tell me that I'm too blah, 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 right? We go into story. Let's not go there, okay? I'm catching you, Regina. Don't go into story, okay? Poison ivy is on my arm. Do I prefer to have it on my arm? No. So I'm going to go ahead and clear it out. I cleared it out. Well, that feels better because it's the result of the experience that I have just done to know that I have been able to clear that out, that that's no longer a part of myself. Don't attach yourself to stories. Don't attach yourself to melodrama. This is where people get trapped. Oh, Brad, I cut myself because I took the garbage out this morning and now I'm bleeding. I think Spirit's mad at me, or I think my angels are mad at me, or blah, 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 blah. And you just instantly try to think of a justification, melodrama story relating to why you have a cut on your arm. Guys, that's ridiculous. Stop worrying so much about the melodrama story, about how you are injured, about how you are emotional in that way. Realize this is happening to you. Realize you have a rash from poison ivy. And now, I don't prefer that. I'm going to clear it out. That's it. You don't need to attach the story because story doesn't do anything for you. Okay? And I'm telling you this because I've had firsthand experience as well too. I always thought that something had to relate to a story, and I was doing this and I was seeing how much I was setting myself back because I constantly tethered myself to a story, to melodrama. Right? We want to get past that. We want to make sure that if we have something upon ourselves that we don't prefer, okay, well, here's the conflicting wave, and now I'm replacing it with a bliss wave. And now the bliss wave is equal to or greater than that, and now I apply that, and now a short time passes. All of a sudden, I'm starting to feel that there's no more itch in the rash, and now the rash is starting to fade away. I did it. See? No story required. Right? I'm telling you this, guys, because I've experienced this firsthand, okay? I used to be a melodramatic storyteller with everything relating to that. Oh, you know, I can't bend my thumbs, guys, right? My thumbs can't bend. And I think that there had to be some type of story behind that, right? Or my arm can't bend all the way. And there has to be some melodramatic story about this. Or maybe it's past lives. If it's past lives, maybe somebody broke your thumb with a mallet when they were mad at you and stuff like that. Who cares how it happened? If I truly want to restore my thumbs, I could. I'm actually just happy with the way that they are because I've gotten so used to it. But yes, if I wanted to commit myself and spend so much time to completely restructuring my thumbs and rebending them again, I could certainly do that. But I don't feel the need for that. I've gotten actually quite comfortable with the way my thumbs are. So again, that's fine. It doesn't represent a conflict within me. So there's really no sine wave there. All right, but if I looked at something and I know that I had a rash on my body, right, and I realized I want to clear that up because that is disturbing me, okay, there's a sine wave, and now I'm using BCR technique. Now I'm using the EQ method, etc. And I'm clearing that up, and believe me, guys, it has worked. I've used spirit codes, and it's clearing it up, and it's worked, okay? There was a big lump on my abdomen not too long ago that was cancerous. And again, I applied spirit codes to it, and the entire lump evacuated out of my body without any surgery necessary. Okay, it actually opened up and it fell out. And I was able to completely clear that up. And the body was healing itself up. I got a tiny little scar there in the abdomen, but that big, gigantic cancerous lump that was about the size of a large multivitamin is no longer there. It's gone. And that's because I gave myself to spirit. I said, Spirit, this is not what I want to prefer. Get it out of me. Okay, done. We're working on it. So it got redder and redder and redder, and it started to open up. The skin actually started to open up like a little gaping hole, and then it fell out. And so now it repairs itself, it conceals itself back up. And like I said, there's a tiny little scar there, but there's no cancerous tumor that's there anymore. So again, this is showing that when you start to work together with spirit, spirit will do everything you want. Spirit becomes your servant. Right? When you start to work together with spirit, as soon as you touch the intelligence domain, the intelligence dimension, spirit bows its knee and saying, command the intelligence dimension any way you see fit. Okay, and now you work and completely clearing yourself up. And like I said, if you see a person with a lot of karma, you're asking spirit, is it okay if I clear this karma from? Oh, go for it. Done. Okay. There's another little story I'll tell you guys as well too before we wrap up because we're almost out of time. But I was in Japan just last spring. And there was a woman who was doing a session with me, and her brother was in the hospital, and he was near death. Okay, his entire lungs were flooded with fluid, and they feel that he may not survive. Basically, I communicated with spirit, and we canceled out all the fluid in his lungs. In the later part of the night, his lungs were empty of fluid. He was able to survive. He came back to life. And that wasn't me. That was spirit. I just made the request, can we do this? Being a proxy for spirit, which is really what I consider myself, or of course, being the spirit ambassador, right? Spirit comes in, spirit does the work, spirit puts in the codes. And now that person had absolutely no fluid within his lungs and he could live. People did not think that he was going to live. They contacted me about a day or two afterwards, and they told me this story, and I was just so thankful to spirit that this man could live another day with all kinds of fluid in his lungs. Did not think that he would be able to make it, and he made it. So that is telling you guys, spirit can transcend karmic law, okay? So that is something that, again, I want you guys to work with, because as you start going into the Spirit Ambassador course, into the classrooms, and now you get initiated, you're going to learn how to do these codes yourself, right? You're going to learn how to work with these spirit codes, because that's where the true training begins. It's after you get certified. That's where the true training begins, right? Right now, you're just going to be initiated into it. You're going to get familiar with it, and then you'll be initiated with spirit light upon you. And now the true training begins, right? Now we have masters on this planet who are spirit ambassadors working together with spirit, and they're doing incredible things. They're able to work with environment, they're able to work with themselves, they're able to work with people, they're able to work with timelines, all of that. It's an incredible thing, but it also requires an incredible responsibility as well too, okay? Paolo says, take it in stride. Sounds like the Nike slogan, just do it. You got it. It is just do it, right? Give it to God. That's actually the slogan, I would say. Give it to God, right? What you don't prefer, give it to God, right? When you're bringing love energy into yourself, you're putting that to God. Say, God, I don't prefer this. Take it away. Done. Just like that. Christina says, thanks, Brad. I just had an epiphany. I am too attached to my stories. Now BCR can probably work better for me. Well, you know what? I was there too, as well. And I was very attached to stories as well too. And hey, I still love watching shows and movies and stuff like that. I still get attached to stories, but you know what? It's okay. You catch yourself, right? As soon as you catch yourself, you realize that, okay, I got myself, I realized this, and now I'm starting to work together with it. And like I said, you guys are many miles ahead right now from a lot of the spiritual community, because they love stories. Oh yeah, come on, I'll tell you all about your past lives, and I'll tell you about all the melodrama that happened in there and how it's relating to the melodrama that you're going through right now. It's good to look into other lifetimes, right? I do that, right? And I teach you guys a lot about looking into your lifetimes, and this is what you went through in your lifetime. But I'm also telling you about empowerment with it, right? How to integrate that harmoniously, because all those other lifetimes we're doing are just pointing back to a conflict that you're going through right now. So I use the Akashic Records as a means of discovering what a person is going through to help them make themselves aware of it so that they can therefore clear it, right? That's my focus when I've used the Akashic Records. But other people will just go in there to look at a soap opera. They'll start looking at the Days of Our Lives and all these other soap operas and say, oh my goodness, I was eaten by a 10-foot tall reptilian, and oh, my husband left me when I was on Sirius, and all this stuff. And they get into these daily soap operas, right? And we get so attached to the story. So guys, you guys aren't actually looking at the lesson of what it's actually trying to tell you here about what you're going through that is conflicting, because that's all this lifetime is showing you. If you're having a harsh lifetime that you're seeing on Sirius or in the Pleiades or whatever, and it's coming back and saying, well, rather than looking at this and saying, oh my God, I'm on the Pleiades, oh my God, I'm a beautiful blonde-haired Nordic and all that stuff, saying, oh, well, I understand the conflict that happened in this life because I'm going through the same conflict right now. I get it. This is why the Akashic Records opened up to me. It was showing me another lifetime to communicate with me, to share that I have the same conflict. And now that I do, okay, conflict's here, bliss energy come in, clear it out. See, that is doing it without completely attaching to a story. You simply have understanding. So we want to bring understanding instead of story, right? We want to bring understanding instead of drama. So I understand I have this rash with poison ivy. I get it now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear it out. And now it's done. There you go. And so the Akashic Records are showing me this thing, a conflict that I have. Okay, well, there you go. I'm aware of it now. I understand it. I'm going to clear it out. Great. That's what we use the Akasha for. Okay. Okay, guys, so we are out of time for this week. I'm going to be gone next week because I'm going to be in Philadelphia doing the expo. I'm not too sure if I have time when I get back. I really don't know. I'll keep you guys informed about that, but I think the next class may not be till October, okay? So because I'm gonna be going to South Africa after that, and I'll be there for 2.5 weeks. So that's what it seems like most likely, but if I do have some time to squeeze in a class, maybe on the Tuesday, I think what I'll do in that sense, because I'll be back on the Monday. So maybe on the Tuesday, a special time, I'll bring in this class, and I believe that's September, let me look at the calendar here. September 10th, okay? So we'll see if we can do a special class on September 10th here at the same time, 12 p.m. Pacific, okay? And if you guys can make it, great. If not, the recording will be here for you as well too. So September 10th here on Patreon, and we'll do another class after that, okay? Another class during that time. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the week, wherever you are in the world, and I'll speak to you again on the 10th of September. Namaste, and may it be well with you all. Take care.